What I'm going to do is slowly scan over these documents so you can pause, right, um, and read along. So for those foreign nationals planning to re-enter Japan, re-enter visa, okay, and I'm just going to scan down this. Basically, what you need is you have to get this letter of confirmation of submitting required documents, right? You get this letter from a consulate and it takes usually a week. Now, I did meet a guy who got it expedited. I tried to expedite mine, they wouldn't do it in Miami, right? They made me actually change my flight. But this requires you to send in your alien registration card and also your passport, okay? And they'll send it back. I sent mine, it took about a week. So make sure, and also you have to send in a return mail on that. Basically, what I did is I did FedEx 1 day return, the fastest one, and I strongly recommend you do that. Um, and even then, I got my letter the day before I took off. that was, that was pretty scary. So that was number one hurdle: is will I get my letter back? Because I can't disembark without that letter. So, and also they had my passport, so I couldn't even leave. I didn't have my passport on there. These are the countries. Now you say, well, we're America, why are we? No, these are the countries that you have to go through this process, okay, on this here. So and here's what's really, you have to get um, foreigners who stay in these countries below 14 days arrival are restricted, right, to return, right? In principle, foreigners who have stayed in these countries on the below list within 14 days before arrival are restricted to, so you can't. Restricted means you cannot come in unless you have that special visa, which means I have a special visa on there. So none of these countries, so this is Africa right here, Asia, right? So China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, even these places have very low COVID. Japan is locked down officially, right? Europe, Italy, Estonia, right? Switzerland, all these places, Kazakhstan, I don't know, these Greece, all these places, right? The Middle East, pretty much all the major. Here's Africa. Do you see South Africa on here? Yeah, Sudan. I don't see South Africa. Yeah, there it is right there, South Africa. Okay. Here's North America, so United States and Canada, right? Can't. Central and South America, pretty much every country. There's 92 countries, or 192. I don't know, there's 192 on there. So ultimately, once you arrive, I'm going to they're going to give you this form right here, okay? So this is the process. So the first thing you have to do is when you get off the airplane, they're going to send you to this area. This is the airplane, deboarding the airplane. The step one guidance. They're going to inform you what you need to do, okay? They're going to check that you have the paperwork that you said you're supposed to have. Then they're going to basically collect your sample. Now you do a spit, you spit into it. Then you're going to go to the next place down here, right? Which is step 3. You're going to show the documentation. And then 3, the waiting room, okay? And then step 4, notification of test results, right? Actually waiting for the test results. And it's kind of together, right? This is actually together, right? Documentation explanation. That took a while, right, for me. It went pretty quickly for the most part. And then here is the Japanese. So if you want to read this in Japanese, right, kind of talks about it. And here it is, the guidance, general guidance right here that you have to go through. Simple. Now this was, really important, and I want to talk about this because you have 2 choices, right? It's a 14-day quarantine. This was not clear to me from the embassy. It wasn't clear. I heard different things like, oh, if you were fine, you'd be able to go. No, everyone can. But here's the specifics right here. So you have to specify where you're going to be going. Now, obviously, I was going to my house, which is on the other side from Fukui, which is the other side of Tokyo. And the operator transportation, where if you will be picked up from the airport private car, or use rent-a-car, or, okay? So you have two choices. Either someone's going to pick you up in a private car, right? Or use a rental car. Or you will take a shuttle bus, and there was a little guy, when you go through customs, waiting there with a sign, and that's the shuttle bus. The operative word here is or and or, right? So or means this or that. If this says, if this wasn't and, if this said you have to and go here first and then rent a car, I thought it may have said that, but it doesn't. So when I went through, I said, I'm getting a rental car. The rental car place at Haneda doesn't open until 9 o'clock or something, right? 9 o'clock. Luckily, there was someone there. So I had to rent a car all the way to, and that was expensive. It was like $650 for one way. If you test positive, you would be admitted into a designated hospital or facility in Japan and follow the instructions of the officer, right? So if you do show positive. Now, I think someone did, because I was number 13 and I'm listening to the numbers, and number 10 wasn't called. So it went like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it went to 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, and that was me. So I was in the second calling of it, and I was like, ooh, number 10 must be tested positive, maybe, but number 10 for some reason wasn't called out. So once you go through all this is what you get, and this is this official thing right here, COVID-19, and this you have to show from here on out. You kind of show this. You put this in the front folder, and it says you have been cleared of it. Okay. And it has on here, there's the 14 days. Doesn't have it in English, but it basically what it explains here of it. Now, this, right, so you've gone through all the testing, they've issued you this, now you got to go through customs. Now, you will have, if you're lucky, a printout of your test, and also they provide you this form. Now, here's the problem I had was ultimately, this is certificate of testing, right? A legal person is supposed to, I went to the Florida Health Department, tried to get them to fill this out, they wouldn't do it. I called a doctor, actually, because I don't have a doctor in America. I have I don't have insurance in America. They wouldn't do it. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to fill it out. Now, the big thing the big concern is, actually, here is frequently asked questions. Let me take a step back, because this is actually good. I just saw this here. I didn't go over. So what will the test be? A 2 to 3 millimeter. So this is the test that you take at the airport, right? Now, here is, let me just scan down this here so you can pause it and read through it, okay? It says 2 to 3 hours. No, I got it within an hour. Okay, that's how fast it was. I had it under an hour. It came back with the results. And then it says here, it is permitted to stay, their English is kind of funny here. If to stay in Japan 14 days after re-entering instead of at home to protect my family. Yes, you can stay at a hotel, right? That's the whole hotel. However, it is highly requested not to use public transit. Requested. So it says requested, which means highly requested means it's not illegal, right? It didn't say prohibited. It's highly requested not to use public transportation, trains, like in addition, you should avoid. See, it should. The English language here makes me think that, technically speaking, I could, because it's not strong English. Reading this now, I didn't read all this. It says should and highly. There was an airport. After entering, please wear a mask, avoid contact with people, keep social distance, and wait in the lobby of the airport. Okay. What kind of advantage agreeing to use the Line app? Oh, the Line app. Quarantine station should inform you. Okay, they asked had Line. So a good thing for you to have is download this Line app, because they're going to ask for it. I forgot about that. And it's kind of like WhatsApp on that. So quarantine station will share information with municipalities, including health centers where you live in Japan. Okay, so the police is going to be informed that I'm here, okay? So will the health centers. When the health center have inquired about your health status, they will contact you, right? When the Japanese centers have inquiries about your health. They will contact you in case the app will make communication smoother and easier. It must be noted that Japanese domestic mobile phone numbers is required for registration. So I can get Lime. I'm going to download it on here. You don't have any relatives in Japan. I don't have little money. What should I do? It is premise that all passengers return or countries around with arrangements that their accommodation in Japan. You need to prepare it by contacting family, parents, relatives, friends. The quarantine station cannot respond to any personal inquiries or issues. So basically, it doesn't have an answer. It's like, go get money from the people you know on there. Okay, so and this is for passengers. This is another thing. I'm just showing you all the stuff. And this is the same thing that I outlined, right? So deplane, documentation check, COVID test, documentation exam, waiting for results, test results notifications on there. Important. Please follow the guide and go through this timeline. Fill out documentation. That's it. Really thing. So, you know, so reading this here, now that I've read this, it seems like anything here. Yeah, cover all that. So now you're getting through this. We're at customs. So all of this is done now. Customs. Now you should have your test results, if possible, print them out. Now my problem is this: Florida, we just had a holiday on Monday. I had got my test the previous week because I was going to fly out earlier, but I couldn't get my documentation, so I changed my flight number. So you can see here on my test dates, I had on the 3rd, right, and I have on the 8th. And they became so subject to this 3rd here. It says I have negative 8, 2020 negative. I had this, and what really kind of blew things up for me was when I said, oh, don't worry about this, and I crossed it out in front of the customs guy. This is official. Now, what I recommend you do is, if you can, scan this in and then ultimately fill it out on a computer so it looks official, all right? There is no place, it actually asks for signature. I said not applicable, NA, right? Address of the institution I put forward, Department of Health. It probably has an address. I could have put the address in there. And then, and certificate testing right here. The date is, you know, and I didn't fill out the date. I could have put the date in here. So this was just showing you how it should be filled out on that side there. Now the other problem is the only test that I could get back quick enough was an antibody test, and as you can see here, the antibody test wasn't on it. They want either swab or saliva, so I put antibody test on here, and it was also negative. So I actually did 1, 2, 3 tests plus the test that I arrived in Japan. 4 tests to get into Japan on there. So when I crossed that out, I had to go there. I had to send them. They had not seen. They had to send them my information from the test. And the thing that got me about that test, I don't have it in here because on my computer, on my phone, was it says that it's an antibody test and it doesn't show whether or not you have the coronavirus. Now, what is an antibody test? If you have the coronavirus, your body's going to build antibodies. So if you have antibodies in your system, there is one of 2 outcomes. Number 1 is you currently have it because your body has antibodies. Number 2, you did have it in the past and you have antibodies. The best result for an antibodies test is no antibodies, right? That doesn't mean you're COVID-free because I may have caught it that day and my body may have not started making the antibodies. But in all, you know, but it is some sort of indication that I'm clear. And that was done, you know, on the 8th. That was like a week ago. So, and here was the other crazy thing for me, flying from, you know, my flight from Tampa to Dallas was packed. It was a completely full pack, and we were just shoved in there like sardines. So American Airlines, they, you know, are not, you know, taking the coronavirus seriously at all. There is absolutely nothing they're doing. They're basically trying to maximize their profits by, they got all this money, they could be flying planes or keeping all these people on, but no one's working. So people are getting salaries at American Airlines and they're not working, right? There's like free time, and now they're laying them off. The companies obviously are probably using the money to buy back their shares to drive up their share price. Yeah, I'm not sick, I hope. No, I think it's just allergies because I'm back in Japan. And then ultimately, the flight from Dallas to LA was packed too. So if I was to catch the coronavirus, this wouldn't matter because I would have caught it on the American Airlines airplane, right, from Tampa to LA that I flew on. Packed airline with really no concern about the coronavirus. So all this was kind of silly. And here's the other thing that really kind of irks me is that if you're a Japanese national, you don't have to get a COVID test. Just because I'm a foreigner and I live here, I have to get the pre-test. But a Japanese national who's going through the same thing gets just one test, which is the test they take when they arrive in Japan. So, which I had this thing. So this is probably a collector's item, my official collector. I'm gonna probably laminate this. All right, so official, right? Probably worth something 100 years from now. When we talk about the coronavirus and all this documentation, I probably should keep for posterity, and now I'm here. But having read the documentation, I don't feel that inclined that it's a complete mandatory. It says you should, not you must stay. You should wear a mask, not you must wear a mask. So I went out for sushi today with my yesterday with my boys and stuff like that. So I hope this talk helps you. If you have any questions or anything else, you can reach out to me. And I'd more willing to give you advice. I'm here in Japan. I have to do a Nat Geo shoot to hunt murder hornets. I'm basically Mike Trout, the hornet hunter, not the baseball player. Mike Trout, who hunts hornets. And I wish you the best. Good luck getting back into Japan. Andao to you and yours, and be safe.